I can draw graphs of lines given the linear equation. Here's what you need to know. Any straight line can be drawn with just 2 points. That's the minimum that you need to draw a straight line. And we can use the equation of a line to generate any of the points that are on that line. Our x-coordinate is called our input value. Our y-coordinate is called the output value. To find a point on a line, all you do is evaluate your equation for any x value that you choose. The answer that you get by plugging in that x value will be the y-coordinate of the point. So it'll look like this. X is what you plug in, y is what you get out, input and output. In this graph right here, we have our line drawn. And I'm just picking this point right here. If I were to label the point, the coordinate would be -1, +1. -1 is my x value, +1 is my y value. That means that if I have my equation, I would plug in -1 in the place of x, and I would get +1, the y value, as my answer. Let's do an example. Graph the line y equals 5x minus 2. Let's find any 2 points on the line by plugging in some values that we would like to for x. Once we do that, we're going to plot the 2 points that we get and connect the points to form a line. It does not matter which x values you choose. You just want to choose 2 different ones that preferably are within the boundary of the graph that you have. So my x values stretch from -10 to +10, so I'm going to try to choose something that's within that range. I like to choose easy numbers. I'm going to use x equals 1 and plug that in the place of x, and I get y equals 3 as my answer. That means the point 1, 3 is on the line. Let's choose another x value. I'm choosing x equals 2. When I plug in x equals 2 right here and simplify, I get y equals 8 as my output. That means that the point 2, 8 is on the line. So you can see that the 2 points are now on here. I'm going to connect them with a straight line, and that's it. I've graphed my line given the equation. Go ahead and pause and try this one. Notice that your equation is not written in slope-intercept form, it's written in standard form. That means that when you go to plug in, you just have to be a little bit careful about where your variables are sitting. Find any 2 points by plugging in any 2 numbers for x. You could have chosen something different than what I'm about to show you, but your graph will look the same. So you're going to be checking your graph against mine when it's all said and done. I'm choosing x equals -1 to plug in, and I get y equals 4 as my answer. And I'm also choosing x equals +2, and when I solve for y, I get +2 as well. So the point 2, 2, and the point -1, 4, and then you simply connect the 2 points that you drew. So as long as your line matches up with mine, you are fine. Now let's find the x and y intercepts of a line given the equation of the line. Your x and y intercept are special points that sit on your line. Every linear equation has an x and a y intercept, with the exception of like our totally horizontal or our totally vertical graphs. Those will only have one or the other intercept. Our y-intercept is going to be the coordinate of the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. So right here, the point 0, +2 is the intercept. The value of 2 is my y-intercept. Over here, I'm crossing my x-axis at -4, 0. So -4 is my x-intercept. This line has a y-intercept at 0, +2, and an x-intercept at -4, 0. Notice how in these points that I wrote right here, one of the coordinates is 0. So in here it was the x value that's 0, and down here it is the y value that is 0. That means that we can very easily find our intercepts by plugging in either x equals 0 or y equals 0 into our equation. that will always produce the intercept. When x is 0, you're finding your y-intercept, and when y is 0, you're finding your x-intercept. Let's do an example. Find the x and the y-intercepts of the line y equals 5x minus 2. Let's start by finding the y-intercept by plugging in x equals 0. I'm getting -2 as my answer, so the point 0, -2 is the y-intercept. Now let's go ahead and find the x-intercept by plugging in y equals 0. When you solve for x, you get 2/5, so the point 2/5, 0 is our x-intercept. If we were to graph that line, those are the points that should cross the axes. Let's check. So when we graph the line, you can use technology like Desmos.com. I'm getting that I'm crossing the x-axis at the point 2/5, 0, and I'm crossing the y-axis at the point 0, -2. That exactly checks out with the work that we did. Go ahead and pause and try this one. Find the x and the y-intercepts of the line 3y plus 2x equals 10. You can plug in 0 for x to get the y-intercept of 10/3, and you can plug in 0 for y to get the x-intercept of 5, 0. These are the points that should be on our axis when we graph. Let's just check. And yes, we are getting, it's obviously kind of difficult to tell what exactly that fraction would be, but if you're using technology, it will label the points for you. This is the point 0, 10/3 as the y-intercept, and this is the point 5, 0 as the x-intercept. If you want more on this topic, be sure to check out the Learning Target spreadsheet for additional resources, videos, and practice.